Hello there, vinyl community and YouTube. Finally, it is time to answer the questions that you have asked me for my 200 subscribers Q&A. I'm really grateful. 15 persons have asked questions in the comment section in my 200 subscribers video for me. And I would like to thank each and every one of you who have asked questions. I would like to also thank each and every one of you who had congratulated me on my 200 subscribers. I've been really wanting to do this. I've been waiting ever since I got the first question. I've been waiting for this moment when I can answer these questions. So it's going to be very interesting. I suspect that this will take a while, so I'm going to divide them in several parts. I'm going to do part 1 right now, and part 2 will come in a couple of days. So to make it easier for you to know where your question will be, I have sorted these persons that have asked me questions in alphabetic order, from A and all the way to X, and hopefully by then, if you don't hear your name in first part, you will most likely find it in the second part, or if you're going to be a third part, I don't know, it depends on how long this will take. I thought that would be the easiest way, and they are sorted, of course, after the name of your channel, of course. So let's start it over and answer your questions. And the first one is from one of the oldest members of the vinyl community, Adam87, who I think he is the one who has been he has been commenting on each and every video that I make, but so is I on his videos. So he's one of the guys that have I have most in common with when it comes to music style. Of course, we both like the 80s. You asked top 5 movies from the 80s to begin with, and it's a tough one. A lot of movies. Some of them are Swedish, but I have taken them off a little bit since I don't think that you know them, madam. I could have mentioned Sällskapsresan or Göta kanal, or Swedish classics like that. But number 5 for me, many of them are pretty cheesy comedies, but there are also movies that I've been watching ever since my childhood, and they are close to me. Number 5 for Ghostbusters. And no, I'm not going to I'm not interested in the new version that comes right now. I'm a little bit allergic to all these millions of remakes that are going on right now, especially when they don't have anyone from the original movies. But the original Ghostbusters, I think, is very funny, very exciting, very entertaining. I always loved this since I think I also saw it when it came out in 1984 on the cinema. I think it was the first movie that I watched at cinema. Number 4, I am a thriller nerd. I love thrillers. So I got to have a thriller with here, and I chose Die Hard with Bruce Willis. Classic that I remember when I saw it, I was nailed to the sofa from the first to the finish. It was very exciting. Number 3, I love Star Wars franchise, so I picked the only one, as I recall it, that was released in the 80s, Return of the Jedi. Number 2, Transformers, the movie. No, not those from the 00s with Shia LaBeouf. I'm talking about the original movie from 1986, the cartoon. I'm not ashamed to admit it, that I am a huge fan of the original Transformers from the 80s, G1 as they are called. It's childhood memory from the 80s, and I still think that it's very, very, I love it very, very much. This newer versions with Armada and all the stuff that have been coming out lately, this animated versions, I don't like one bit. I want the original G1. Those are the ones that I like, and I really, really liked the movie when it came out. And number 1, it's a movie that has been with me ever since my teen days, that I watched as a teen, and it is a comedy that I think it's pretty funny. I think it is really, really entertaining and smart storyline that I really like, and that is Trading Places with Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. I think Eddie Murphy is really, really great in this movie, and Dan Aykroyd also, as the snob that all of a sudden becomes a poor man. I think he does a great job, both of them. So these are my 5 favorite movies. You also asked top 5 songs from the 80s, and these are songs that I have been showing in one form or the others before. Number 5, Go West, Call Me, summer classic that I showed in Trish's Summer Thread previously, I think. Number 4, of course, gotta have some Depeche Mode, Shake the Disease. I think this is my absolute favorite Depeche Mode song. Also has to do with childhood, but it is a fantastic production, really marvelous production. Number 3 is the song that won my top 10 of summer songs. Louis Lane fought with It's the First Time. I think I said all that there is to say about that song in the Trish movie. Number 2, Propaganda, P Machinery. Really, really fantastic song that was never boring. It's always happening something every time, and it's magnificent synthesizer production. And number 1, of course, Tears for Fears, Sowing the Seeds of Love. Speaking of songs that are never boring, that it always happens something, and with a magnificent production. Definitely one of the best produced songs ever. So, thank you very much, Adam, for your questions. And now we're going to Baraka P. Dub, Paul, who I have learned very much about jazz. He knows so much about jazz and has shown great jazz albums. And thank you for that. You are a really master of knowledge about jazz. You asked if I prefer Agnetha Fältskog or Frida in ABBA. And it was a tough one, because Agnetha is such a great singer, but so is Frida. I am not a huge fan of ABBA. Not a huge fan. They have done some really great songs. I like Winner Takes It All is a great song. Lay All Your Love on Me is a great. Gimme, Gimme, Gimme is great. Summer Night City, fantastic 70s disco song. But I prefer even more them as a solo artist. Even Björn and Benny is better as solos, or were better as solos before they made ABBA. And also Agnetha and Frida were better both after, but most of all before they became ABBA. Because then there were Schlager singers who sang beautiful and little sad ballads in Swedish with strings and so on that were really beautiful. But if I have to pick any of the girls, I pick Agnetha because she has done she's more even. She has done more better songs totally. Frida had a period when she sang David Bowie's Life on Mars in Swedish, and I thought that was horrible, to say the least. And so I think that Agnetha wins it. She had a fantastic voice as young before ABBA in the 60s, late 60s, and the songs were cute and magnificent. So Agnetha Fältskog is my choice. You say the Swedes speak well English. It's interesting that how far we have gotten from away from the Swedish chef in the Muppet Show. I'm always thought that Swedes always talk like this. I coming from Sweden and the country of ABBA. But it's great to hear that we have improved our English since 70s and 80s. So hooray, hooray. You wanted to know which Swedish artist in Swedish I recommend. And to me that one was pretty easy. Even though there are a lot of Swedish artists I like. Sweden has such a great landscape of Swedish artists and Swedish music that are worth discovering. But my absolute favorites through all the times have been Swedish singer Peter LeMarc. I don't know who you're going to compare him to. Sometimes he sounds a bit like ballad singing Bruce Springsteen, and sometimes he's maybe a little John Lennon, and sometimes he can be a bit Bob Dylan. But he sings in Swedish, and he sings very personal lyrics. Personal, romantic, and I love his voice. A mature and great voice, and his melodies are so fantastic. Really, the songs that really feels close to you, and really magnificent played. He's a fantastic producer, fantastic composer, and most of all a fantastic lyric writer. I think I have right now all of his studio albums. So, but let me show three of my favorites from the 80s. This is self-titled from 1987. Maybe one of his most personal albums, and he described it as an album where he thought that his career was over because he did some less good albums during the early 80s that critics so it didn't sell one bit, and he did strange television appearances, and he thought it was all over, and he had a depression, and he sat down and wrote all these songs out of his depression. So it was this is a magnificent and really personal album. This is from 1990, Välkommen Hem, Welcome Home. It's an album with one or two more synthesizers that really a little more funky album in some parts. However, fantastic produced. And from 91, Sången de spelar när filmen är slut. The song that they play when the movie has finished. His most best-selling album, I think. At least they contain his best selling song, most well-known songs. And once again, more acoustic Peter LeMarc, and but with songs that are more hit-oriented. So I love, this is Peter LeMarc. Peter LeMarc is fantastic. He sings in Swedish, maybe not easy to understand, but it is really awesome melodies. And then you wanted to ask me to do something really, really interesting. You asked me if I was going to go on a trip with Bobby Z, our favorite Robert Z, to Mora, who is a city in Dalarna in Sweden. Dalarna an area in Sweden, and Mora, it's pretty far away from Sundsvall. And I'm going to Mora with this Swedish city with Robert Z. Imagine that trip. It will be a trip, I say, watch out, every truck driver at the road, because here comes two guys that would have some great time. I haven't seen this television show that you got inspired from. It's a show that hasn't made it to Swedish television yet. But we were going to have 4 songs that Robert were going to sing karaoke to on this trip to Mora. And that one was pretty hard, actually. But since I am trying to teach Robert Z very much about Depeche Mode, why not? I'm going to teach him to sing 2 Depeche Mode songs. And I took the 2 most known songs to begin with, Enjoy the Silence and Master and Servant. Then, why not? Let's hear Robert sing in Swedish. So let him, I would love to hear him sing Peter LeMarc's most famous song, Little Willie John, who is a song in Swedish, even though it's named after this musician. And in Robert Z's video for me, for my 1986 celebration of my 30 years anniversary of collecting records, Robert Z sang very beautifully when he played Robert Palmer's Addicted to Love. So why not? Let's have Robert Z sing Addicted to Love, because he's like that song very much. So it would be really funny to see this trip. Robert singing Depeche Mode, Peter LeMarc, and Robert Palmer. That would be something special. But the hardest question was the last one, Paul. Artists that I was telling myself to stay away from as a kid. Because artists that I liked in the 80s, 99% of them I still like. I'm the kind of guy who doesn't dump artists or genres because I grew up. Most of them I still like. So, and from 1986 I couldn't think of anyone really big artist that I did like then and that I don't like now. But there are one song that I liked pretty good back then. I remember recording it from radio every now and then. and today I wonder what the devil did I ever see in that song. And it's a song by Dutch rap group, I don't know what to call them, MC Michael G and DJ Sven. They did a collaboration between Madonna's Holiday and Cliff Richard's Summer Holiday, mixed them into one song with 80s disco production too, and rapped and did a rapping to it, and it became a pretty good hit in Sweden. And I would, if I'm going to give it advice to the younger myself as an 11-year-old, I would say, don't fall for this kid, because this one totally suck. It is cheesy and it is totally stupid. Bad rapping and a refrain that it looks like it was squeezed together over a coffee break. So that one would be my answer is in that case. Holiday by MC Michael G and DJ Sven. So thank you, Baraka P. Dub, for your great questions. And let's move on to the guy that we just mentioned, Bobby Z. Bobby Z, my buddy in Arizona, that are always doing funny videos, one of the funniest members at YouTube. You asked 5 questions, cheating a little bit, but I have no problems with that. It's always great to answer questions. So I have no problems that you asked 5 questions. First of all, what question would I ask God if I got to heaven? And I would, first of all, we talked about if I died when I was in old age, and as by then my family, at least my parents, would most likely be dead by then. So I would, first of all, I guess, ask where my family is. Plans for my music collection. I answered that question in John Bellamy's contest not too long ago. My plans are to collect the music that I like in physical format. And then what happens when I die with it? I hope that my family, if I die before them, knows what I would have wanted, to save it for future generations, because I think it's most important for future generations to know what to listen to, and to store it somewhere so it looked really great. Of course they could play with it. What good would it be if it stayed in a cold storage? But it would be in a tip-top shape for future generations. Then if that happens, I can't control. They're free to do whatever they want, but I hope they know what I want. But my current plans are to have the music I like on physical format. You asked if I ever listened to a record and wondered what the artist on the record, what was he singing about. If I ever been a time when I didn't understand one word of what that artist was singing about, even though I bought the record and obviously liked the artist. And of course they have. It's a Swedish group that I like very, very much. They have fantastic production. They have really great melodies, sounding sometimes a bit like a Swedish Depeche Mode. They called, I don't know if you heard about them, Robert, Kent. Kent is from Eskilstuna near Stockholm. And I have only one problem with Kent. It is that their lyrics are way too deep, so deep that I don't understand what they're singing about. I always have problems. I think the lyrics that the song that they have made the best lyrics is their previous hit, Egoist. But otherwise I have problems understanding the lyrics because they are so deep and so written that it is hard to read between the lines what he actually means. If you want to discover Kent Robert, they have released two of their albums released in Swedish. They also released it in English. So for instance, this is the English version of their album Agnetha Hill that was released in 2000. This was the album that made me discover how great Kent really was, and that made me become a huge Kent fan. And as you can see here, all the titles are in English. Which 3 dead artists would I invite to a party? I would invite, first of all, a female Swedish jazz singer that I mentioned before, Monica Zetterlund, who would be interesting to discuss all jazz memories, because she had met all of the great ones, Stan Getz. She has met everyone, with all the great Swedish jazz musicians. He has met international jazz musicians also during the 50s and 60s. So it would be very interesting to talk to her, and she's a fantastic jazz singer. Then I thought of, I'm not the kind of guy who is interested in celebrities like that, to meet them and to chance talking with them. If I am going to book them at the party, I expect them to play also. So I booked Morris White. Would be interesting to see Morris White one last time, maybe reunited with Earth, Wind and Fire, and get that funky feeling. I think that is what he would have done also if he was still among us, and if he could play. He was sick during the end. And of course, I never got the chance to see this master alive, and I really wanted to. So Jimmy Smith, the Hammond organ phantom, would be interesting. I'm pretty sure that he has also many great stuff to tell, memories from all of his touring, of his everything that he has been doing during his career. Would be very interesting to talk Hammond organists with him, maybe. You also, as a 5th question, asked what other country than Sweden would I want to live in if I had to leave Sweden for good. Tough question. You expect me to say Arizona? I'm not going to say Arizona, even though I wouldn't mind to come and visit you one day, Robert. But I think that I would like to live in that case in England. Interesting, lot of record stores, interesting nature, and interesting culture. So England is my answer. So thank you, Bobby, for asking these questions, and both Paul and Bobby C, huge shout outs to you, because you made questions in form of videos for me, and that was I highly appreciated.